including civil society groups like Haki Africa, of the inquiry into extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances in Kenya. The DPP and the DCI were expected in the meeting, but they sent representatives.
Ago, we got 3 people who had disappeared 1 month ago in January, who came back and who were actually picked by men in uniform from their homes in Lamu, and they were dumped 1 month later in Mtwapa. And they, throughout their ordeal, they clearly communicated, their tormentors, that they were actually government officers. The disappearances have continued to happen. In January this year alone, in the month of January, 11 cases of disappearances were actually reported. In 2019, in a report that we have prepared and we have submitted, although we are also environmental friendly, but we still submitted hard copies, we recorded a 48% increment in police killings in 2019 compared to 2018. 48% rise in police killings. In 2019 again, we found 6 bodies, which you will also see in the report, in Savo. These bodies were transferred to Nairobi. We got the DNA tests to be done. We were told the results will be out in 2-3 months. It is almost a year later. We are still waiting for the results from the government chemist. That is yet to be released. So it's not just the killings that we are complaining about, but the manner in which the state is handling most of these cases that is raising questions amongst citizens. We feel that more needs to be done, and particularly in specific areas. At the coast, we are recommending that you actually visit Nyali police station, where apparently a group of police officers who go by the name Wazee wa Bareta are allegedly behind most of these killings that are reported in Mombasa. It is claimed by those who know how they operate that they use a vehicle in which they stuff all sorts of weapons, which they then use as false evidence. We have witnesses who we can present before you, who saw some of these killings happening. Even after the suspects surrendered, raised their arms, a case of, which is in the report, was shot 7 times by the police after he surrendered, and immediately thereafter, according to the mother, they picked a panga from their vehicle, smeared it with blood from the same victim, and then placed it on the ground. These are the kinds of incidences that are being reported from Mombasa. Again, within Lamu, yes, when incidences such as this occur, there is outright violation and wholesome condemnation of communities. Police raid villages where they attack, they harass, they torture, even old persons within the communities. This, again, was documented in Lamu, and you will see it in the report. So the wholesale condemnation of communities continues unabated, particularly at the coast. What are some of our recommendations? One is that you urgently address the complaints and ensure justice is done to the victims. Impunity, such as the case that has been referred by several of my colleagues, where this officer by the name Rashid shot and killed a suspect in broad daylight in front of hundreds of onlookers, which was captured by phones, cameras, and all that, shared across social media everywhere, and yet this individual is still walking scot-free, is a perfect example of how impunity continues to erode our justice.